We need these tools in the toolbox to allow us to be profitable in the future.
Hello and welcome to this edition of the State of Soy. I'm Aaron Putsey and I'm visiting with two farmers here about a very timely and important topic. Dave Struthers from Collins, also Kevin Ross from Underwood, and both of you have recently gotten behind an initiative called the Modern Ag Alliance. It speaks directly to the importance of tools in the toolbox from a weed management standpoint. But Dave, let's start first. Explain the Modern Ag Alliance.
Well, the Modern Ag Alliance is a consortium of commodity organizations as well as chemical manufacturers, primarily herbicides, that want people to know that the EPA is the final authority on herbicide registrations and usage, and that their label is the law, that we don't have willy-nilly state-to-state regulations trying to add things to it.
So farmers are really speaking out about this, Kevin. Why?
Because glyphosate's been deemed safe. It's a tool in the toolbox that we need as we look forward to the future of conservation and what we're doing on my farm and many others, whether it's no-till or cover crops or things like that. We need these tools in the toolbox to make sure that we have just access to crop protection tools that are going to allow us to be profitable in the future. I think this is a perfect time for us as farmers to step up and say, hey, this is a perfect subject, because we know, again, the safety of glyphosate. We know the purpose of it. We also know that labels are key. You know, we're all paying attention to what we're doing out there, but you need to know what's on the label. You don't need different states telling you different things.
So we have two audiences of the State of Soy. One audience farms, the other audience does not farm. So for the audience that does not farm, let's start with, why is weed management so important to the bottom line of a farmer and to the benefit of our food supply?
Yeah, I think one of the things that most people don't realize is how many weeds are out there just dormant in the soil. You know, you can see damage from weeds in a small area in a crop where there's just one weed or two, but if it's across an entire field, you can see major damage, and certainly not a profitable situation for the farmer. As a consumer, whether you're urban, rural, whatever, I think this is a product that you use to control weeds. A lot of the U.S. has probably used it, whether they knew the label as Roundup or they use it as glyphosate and a generic. It's been a widely used product, and so on the farm we've used it for years, and it's allowed us to become more sustainable.
So Dave, a little bit about the evolution of weed management. We're at a crossroads here right now in terms of having the products available that you need and not losing the kinds of products that you need. Why is this juncture so important?
Things in nature can evolve and become resistant to certain practices, certain chemistries, and so the opportunity for things to resist a herbicide program with multiple modes of action is very slim. When you try to rely on the same thing year after year, it makes it difficult. So, I mean, this is the right thing to have, like as you said, that tool in our toolbox to continue to have those products.
And lastly, and both of you can take a swing at this, why is this an issue that's important to the consumer?
And that just doesn't provide, only stability for our food supply, but it's an economic stability across the U.S. And those are things that I think, every consumer, every citizen should really be able to get behind.
We have had this thing deemed safe. We don't have issues with health effects from it that have been substantiated, and we want people to be able to trust their food supply, and this can do that, and not put one state at a disadvantage to another. I mean, you would hate to live in the state where you can't do this and you can't do that, but 3 miles away across the state line is totally permissible. I mean, that would put you at a disadvantage if you were limited on what you can do, and following the EPA rules allows everybody on the same playing field.
And to that point, there's certainly enough uncertainty in agriculture right now. We don't need to add to it unnecessarily. And I think as farmers, you're going to be hearing more about the Modern Ag Alliance. Now you know the reason behind it and what's at stake in this conversation. Reporting for this edition of the State of Soy, I'm Aaron Putsey.
Do you remember when you first believed that anything was possible? Do you remember when you had doubt? Obstacles you couldn't overcome? Do you remember when you pushed through the pain and refused to quit? Remember, He created you for this.